Inside the Magic, show number 350 for December 18th, 2011. December 18th, 2011. This is show 350 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I'm your host, Ricky Briganti. We do have another great show packed with, not so much Disney news this week, not a lot of news, but still some news and plenty more fun. Before we get into all of that, I do invite you to visit InsideTheMagic.net. You'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and so much more. And if you ever have any news, tips, or questions, you can write to me at Ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can always call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. The Disney Cruise Line is closer than ever with sailings from New York, Galveston, and Los Angeles, so book your Disney cruise vacation today for the best pricing and receive a free shipboard credit as well. You can do all that by calling Magical Travel at 866-207-8387, or you can visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote. And when you do that, be sure to mention Inside the Magic to receive a free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And by Audible, get access to over 85,000 titles as well as a free audiobook download by going to audibletrial.com/Inside the Magic. And of course, thanks to listeners and viewers like you for your donations, whether it's monthly, recurring, or single donations, and best of all, during the Christmas season here, holiday season, if you do shopping online, do so through InsideTheMagic.net/Amazon to give us a little bit of credit for everything you add to your cart after visiting that link. We definitely appreciate it. Helps very, very much for all of our costs for everything, hosting equipment, etc. So thanks for that. And now, let's get started with our trip around the world. So here we are 1 week away from the big day, from Christmas, and, it's the time of year when everybody has something to do, whether it's you're going out and shopping, you're driving around town, you're visiting family, you're flying, you're driving, you're just staying home, you're relaxing, you're on a Christmas break, kids get out from school for a couple of weeks, lots of parents and just adults in general take some time off. For me, business is very slow this time of year, and as is news, as I said. It's, just a time of year when the theme parks are incredibly crowded. One of the most crowded times of year, if not the most crowded times of year at the parks. I tend to stay away from them during this couple of weeks. So really, it just gives me time to relax and catch up on things, and that's what I'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. And as a result of all of that and everybody having so much busy time, it seems like Inside the Magic history download numbers go down a little bit, as does web traffic, because, not everybody's spending as much time on the internet or listening to podcasts as they are actually spending time in real life and doing real life sort of holiday things. So as a result of that, this week I'm going to be bringing you some Christmas entertainment after the news that doesn't really require active listening. It can be just kind of put on in the background for everybody to enjoy while you're out driving around or shopping or wrapping presents or whatever it is you're doing. But first, we do have some news and some listener feedback to get to, and then I'll leave you with some Christmas fun from the parks. And before we get to all of that, I should mention, just right along with that, I didn't actually even post any news over to the website this week because, I'm not likely to post much around this time of year because there really isn't that much news to cover. But there will be, some articles popping up. So keep on watching the website over at InsideTheMagic.net for some different sorts of articles in the coming weeks rather than sort of news, breaking sort of stories. Although if anything happens, we'll certainly be on top of that as well. As far as next week, December 25th, the 1 week from today, will be, of course, Christmas Day. I'm definitely not recording a podcast on Christmas Day. I'm not going to do it on Christmas Eve either. So most likely next week's show, which I will still release on the podcast feeds and on the website on Christmas Day, most likely the show, I will record the show either on Thursday or Friday, probably Friday sometime. So if anyone wants to tune in live at insidethemagic.net/live, just watch us, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and you'll see when I decide to record that, most likely on Friday. And then the week after that will be the big January 1st show, the first show of 2012, and it's a show that we actually recorded last night, which is why my voice might be sounding a little bit hoarser than usual, because Paul Berry joined me once again for the big Ear in Review show. We talked for about 4.5 hours or so, slightly shorter than last year's Ear in Review, which was kind of the goal. We've been increasing year after year. We actually were trying to make it a little bit less this year, but 4.5 hours, still a very long show. We talked about everything in 2011, so you can, if you did not tune into the live stream last night for that, then you can join, download it on January 1st and enjoy it then. There will be no video version of that show because it's incredibly long, but audio only on that one. So, with all of that said, let's move into the limited amount of news that there is this week. And first up, right along the lines with Christmas and shopping, Inside the Magic listener Jeff wrote in to let me know that out here at Walt Disney World, the 20% off shopping coupons have returned at various food locations. You buy some food throughout Walt Disney World, in many, many locations. Check your receipt, because you might get a 20% off coupon for shopping at Mouse Gear at Epcot, Mickey's of Hollywood at Hollywood Studios, Keystone Clothiers, Island Mercantile over at Animal Kingdom, and World of Disney over at Downtown Disney. And 20% off will certainly help in some Christmas shopping. Those coupons are valid until 12 noon each day through January 2nd. So really for the holiday season in the mornings, the goal is Disney wants people to come out and shop earlier in the day instead of having that late in the day rush. So definitely check your receipts if you want to save some money. Now, talking about 2012 a little bit here, the Main Street Electrical Parade, of course, is running over at the Magic Kingdom. There are rumors that perhaps with pieces of new Fantasyland opening, maybe the Main Street Electrical Parade is going to leave the Magic Kingdom and head back over to California. Maybe we'll get Spectrum Magic back. Not sure if any of that is going to happen, but what is definite, and you should plan on this if you're going to be visiting early next year, January 20th through February 10th of 2012, the Main Street Electrical Parade will not be performed. No word as to exactly why that is, but it will return on February 11th. So it's not going away permanently as of that point, but it is a possibility for the future for it to disappear. We'll wait and see. How about some food news that Walt Disney World put out this week over at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort? And this is something that's been a long time coming and really is an appropriate change. It's actually for the pepper market in that hotel. Instead of ordering from stations, which was always really odd how they worked that sort of open restaurant. Now it is a true buffet. They say it's a test, but they also say that most likely it's going to stay this way. So you pay one price to get in, and then it's all you can eat. At that point, you can get whatever you want, rather than ordering from here and then ordering from there and then paying for each item that you get. The buffet is $14.99 for breakfast, or $8.99 for ages 3 to 11, $16.99 for lunch, or $9.99 for ages 3 to 11, and non-alcoholic drinks and desserts are included in there. And also the food that is featured in the restaurant is a wide variety. Pretty much everybody can find something good to have there. There's some roast beef or pork or turkey. There's paninis, slices of pizza, pasta, salads, and even some Mexican dishes as well, keeping with the theme of the resort. So it's a good change there. I think that's really the way that restaurant should have always been there at the Coronado Hotel. Speaking of hotels, we've been talking about recently finally the addition of free Wi-Fi to various hotels around Walt Disney World, and more Wi-Fi is springing up, not only in the rooms now, but also in public areas of the hotels. In the deluxe and the convention hotels, a lot of Wi-Fi has been, or available Wi-Fi that is, has been found in main lobbies, bus stops, guest rooms, around the pool area. That's at Animal Kingdom Lodge, Contemporary, all of that sort of resort. Anywhere that has convention facilities or is a deluxe resort. In addition, at Port Orleans and Caribbean Beach, some public Wi-Fi was spotted there, although there is no Wi-Fi available in the guest rooms there quite yet. But it does seem like Disney's really trying to roll out as much public Wi-Fi for free, finally, which Disneyland and California has been doing for quite a while. So good to see Walt Disney World catching up there. Now let's talk meet and greets. I mentioned New Fantasyland a few minutes ago, and of course, going into 2012, it's going to be opening in pieces and phases throughout the year. And one rumor is that Dumbo, of course, the classic attraction, is going to be built in a double Dumbo fashion in Storybook Circus, and then the old Dumbo is going to close at some point. Well, in the middle of all of that changing, when one Dumbo's open, the other one's closed, maybe no Dumbo for a while, perhaps it's possible that Dumbo, a character, will be out for meet and greets sometime in January and February during that transitional phase when, the Dumbo attraction may not be fully accessible or as easily accessible. So that would definitely be interesting. Certainly a rare character to get a photo with, and then perhaps in the future, as we move ahead, maybe Storybook Circus, which is going to have Pete's Silly Sideshow, perhaps Dumbo will be available there for meet and greets as well. Let's wait and see on that one. Let's jump over to Universal Orlando for some really interesting news that I haven't mentioned whatsoever here, but it does seem to be pulling together quite nicely. Anybody walking around the main lagoon in the Universal Studios Florida park will have noticed some very large structures being put in the lagoon, some floating structures with lots of sort of scaffolding-looking things and a lot of equipment and lighting, and very curious as to what's going on there. It seems that Universal is putting together some sort of new lagoon show for that park, though they haven't announced anything official yet, but it could be something along the lines of World of Color-ish. I just saw earlier today somebody had spotted some plans laying around in the middle of all of that, and they saw that the word fountains was definitely there. The fountain equipment has been spotted with jets. It looks like there's going to be a row of fountains, possibly some mist screens projecting things. It could be the new version of Universal 360, which was always a bit of a weird show. This could be something pretty special for that park. So let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to whatever it might be. Surely it will involve Harry Potter in some capacity, because that's what seems to be drawing people to Universal primarily. So it could be that we'll see brooms flying. Could be a Quidditch match happening in the middle of the lagoon. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see along with everything else. I'm definitely excited for it. Speaking of Harry Potter, though, I should mention real quick, I've added something new to themeparksand3d.com, the site where I've been posting 3D photos that I've taken with the Nintendo 3DS, and a lot of people have sent in 3D photos as well. Well, recently Nintendo added the ability to shoot 3D video on the 3DS, so I brought that with me when I was over at the Wizarding World the other day and walked through Hogsmeade Village shooting 3D video. It's not the greatest video in the world. It took a little working to get it to convert from the 3DS format up onto YouTube, which is where I have it now, and it didn't turn out perfectly. The separation of the left and right is not ideal, but it's a good start, and it's something I'll experiment more with the future. So if you want to check that out, it's YouTube 3D actually has quite a lot of options that are great. It does side by side. It does red and blue. So if you don't have a 3DS or you don't have a 3D display or you don't want to cross your eyes, you can just use red and blue glasses to watch it, and you can change all the settings there. So I have posted that over at InsideTheMagic.net. It's on our YouTube channel as well. It's actually become a very popular video since I posted it. I think last I checked, it was almost 6,000 views on there. Surprisingly, I didn't think it would have that many. But so check it out if you want to see a little bit of 3D, and I'll try to perfect the conversion between 3DS and YouTube next time I do it. Some really strange news, well, maybe not strange, but sort of out of nowhere news came out that Disney is going to be introducing a new princess of sorts pretty soon as part of a new princess fairy tale line next year. They're calling the new princess Sophia the First, and she's going to be Disney's youngest princess, though not officially part of the Disney princess line. She's going to have her own sort of line aimed at young girls, even younger girls. Sophia herself is a young little girl. It's all going to premiere with an animated TV movie in the fall of 2012. Then following that, I'm sure dependent on the success of that, will also be a TV series of Sophia the First. in spring 2013. That'll be on Disney Channel and Disney Junior. The whole story is that Sophia is a little girl who becomes part of royalty when her mom marries the king. And Disney is calling her the peer-to-peer princess, which basically is their way of trying to get girls to relate to princesses even more than perhaps they already have, but also tying in the existing Disney princess line. They say that Sleeping Beauty's fairies, Fauna, Flora, and Merryweather are going to be there in the Sophia the First program or movie, and then Cinderella will be in there, and then they're going to incorporate other princesses in there somehow as well. In addition, I've read rumors that perhaps Sophia the First will be making her way to being a meet and greet in the park, though I don't really know how that will work. I guess it'll have to be a full-on character. You can't really have little kids doing characters as meet and greets anyway. So we'll see how all of that shapes up, but it's certainly a different direction for the Disney princesses rather than, teenage or adult princesses. This is the first child princess for Disney. Moving to the world of comics now. This was not entirely surprising news. I think this was a direction that could have been seen coming. Of course, Disney had been working with Boom Studios in the world of comics. They had Muppets there, they had Pixar there, they had Disney Afternoon Comics there. All of that has ended, particularly with Disney's acquisition of Marvel. And of course, everybody wondering, well, Disney now has Marvel. Does that mean Marvel is going to put out Disney comics? Well, the first of which we announced a few weeks ago that Marvel was going to be doing a Prep and Landing comic. Well, now they have announced their first Pixar comic. It's going to be Toy Story. It's a limited series, just a few issues to start with. It's going to debut in March of 2012. And I would imagine if it's successful, then Marvel will continue to produce not only Pixar, but perhaps other Disney character comics as well. I'm sure Boom Studios is not thrilled about the whole thing because they were doing a really nice job with Disney's comics, but it makes perfect sense that if Disney now owns Marvel, which they do, that they would just use them to produce their comic books moving forward. A new iPhone app or iPod Touch app or iPad app debuted this week. Kind of an interesting, different sort of app. It's called It's a Small World, and it's a colorful animated app from Disney Publishing Worldwide that takes you on what they call an illustrated and interactive journey around the globe. It's kind of a story app, but it also has artwork and music. It's $3.99, available, of course, from the Apple App Store. And one final bit of news this week in the world of TV. ABC has canceled Extreme Makeover Home Edition in its 9th season. It's going to be ending in January, although I did just read that there will be 4 more special episodes after it officially goes away. I think that's probably just because they've already recorded the episodes, and of course they're not going to just, demolish and build houses and then never show that on TV. So we're... If you're a fan of Extreme Makeover Home Edition, Ty Pennington screaming into the bullhorn and all of that, it is going away at some point, though there are about, 5-6 episodes remaining for you to enjoy before it goes away completely. And that is it for your news from around the world this week. Here's a tip that ties right in with Christmas, something fun that you could possibly get as a almost last-minute gift here. We're about a week away, but Andy writes in, says, I was browsing the Apple website and noticed that the latest iPod Nano that some people actually wear as a watch with a rubberized watch band now comes with the classic Mickey Mouse face with the arms as minute and hour hands. There's also Minnie, Kermit, and Animal from the Muppets as well. I updated my daughter's software, which is the current generation, but a few years old, and the new watch face is uploaded too. Kind of cool. Another thing, if you have a Mac, you can copy the Mickey watch face from the website from Safari and run it in a dashboard, as an app. So, Andy, great tip there. I know I mentioned the watches and the watch bands and the faces when it first came out, but it's certainly easy to forget about it because, well, I completely forgot about that too. And you can definitely turn one of those touchscreen, iPod Nanos into a watch with the special watch accessories that many companies make, and then you can put the Mickey Mouse face on there or any of those others. But I didn't know you could also put them up there as a dashboard app, so I will have to try that. Everybody else out there, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. And now, before we move on with the show, I do want to put in a quick word or two about Theme Park Connection. Just a few weeks ago was the grand opening of the new store and warehouse here in Winter Garden for Theme Park Connection, which their website is themeparkconnection.com. So it is now officially open to the public Monday through Friday. You can head on over there and check out all their collectibles and props and costumes and signs and trading pins and so much more that they sell. They both buy and sell Disney and theme park items, so you can bring your own collections to sell, get money on the spot if you need a little extra cash for Christmas coming up. A great way to do that if you're in the area. It's actually a 4,000 square foot warehouse right here in Winter Garden, Florida, not far from my house, about 15 minutes north of the Magic Kingdom, and you'll just spend hours there browsing through everything. Just incredible, one-of-a-kind, unique items. Of course, if you can't make it locally, you can also visit their website and their online eBay store, all found over at themeparkconnection.com.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic listener feedback.
So yes, we are at listener feedback already, even though we're only 20 minutes in the show, but it's not because we're ending the show in just a few minutes. We're just kind of doing things a little bit out of order this week because of what I'm going to end the show with, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, I do want to go with listener feedback in the middle of the show this time instead of at the end. So we're going to start with an email from Rick from Alabama, who writes in and says, in keeping with the anniversary of the movie Rocketeer, did you know that both the GB Air Race airplanes that are in the movie are now on display at Fantasy of Flight in Polk City, Florida? This attraction is about 20 minutes southwest of Walt Disney World, just north of I-4. They are the actual aircraft. Yes, they were real. And Rick, no, I didn't know that. You know, Fantasy of Flight I've driven by many times. It's on the path between here and like Busch Gardens or Tampa area, and I always drive right by it. I'm like, oh, you know what? One of these times I'm going to stop there. And I never do. But that's really good, really cool that the Rocketeer planes are there. Maybe I'll have to make a point to stop just to see those. So thanks very much for that. And now we have a couple of voicemails, and as soon as my computer wants to behave, I will play one of them. In the meantime, I'm waiting for the little Apple spinny wheel to sit here and spin at me. And okay, there we go. Let's go over to a voice message from Ron.
Hi, Ricky. Sorry, this is Ron Havens. I'm calling from Bowling Green, Kentucky, actually the small town of Smiths Grove, and it's been a while. I thought I'd give some time, give a little bit of patience, but after seeing the Weird Al Yankovic concert coming through my town a couple of months ago, I keep thinking the Skipper Ben is or Skipper Dan song. Let me try this again. Let me cut this off and let's try it again. Here we go. Ready? Take two.
Okay, take two.
Hi, Ricky. This is Ron Havens calling from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I was just wondering, after listening to the Weird Al Yankovic song in concert about Skipper Dan, I was wondering where Skipper Ben might be. He hasn't been on in a long time, and I really miss him, and I was wondering how him and Princess Lisa are doing with their newborn and seeing how they were doing. I was wondering if he were ever coming back. Sorry about the...
All right, so technical difficulties all over the place here related to that voicemail. Don't worry about it, Ron. We got your message for sure, and you know what? You're not the only one to be wondering that recently. I've actually got quite a few emails. I got one just this week from Micah, who wrote in and said, you may have already explained this, and I just missed it, but where is Skipper Ben? I hope he and his family are well. Hearing his stories has become part of my Disney experience. So Ron, Micah, and everybody else who has been wondering where did Skipper Ben disappear to, I assure you he is still he's still out there. He still exists. He's just fine, as is Princess Lisa and both of their daughters now. Last time we heard from Ben, he was just about to have his second kid, and that's really taken over between that and his very busy career in the world of sports. Not that he plays sports, but he covers sports. He's just simply been incredibly busy and hasn't had a chance to kind of get back in the swing of things here. He recently told me that he does, of course, plan on coming coming back to Inside the Magic at some point, but there's no, definite sort of timeline there. So at some point in the future, sometime probably in 2012, Ben will be back here on the show, but I can't tell you when. I know he is planning another trip to come out here to Orlando, so I'll have to find him, track him down, and force him onto the TTA so we can record another installment of TTA Talk. Maybe that will be the return of Skipper Ben. Maybe he'll be back before then. I don't know. So in the meantime, you're just stuck with me. So now let's go back to the voicemail, hopefully without any issues this time, and this time it is Michael.
Hey, Ricky. Michael Vincent from Staten Island. I'm sitting in my Doom buggy right now, entering the Haunted Mansion. It's fantastic to get reception. I just want to wish you and Michelle a very Merry Christmas.
Oh, yes. No flash pictures, please. We spirits are frightfully sensitive. Right, right.
Thanks very much for that call, Michael. I can't imagine a better place for you to call from than Inside the Haunted Mansion, and Merry Christmas to you and to everybody out there, to all of you listening and to all of you watching as well. I wish we had Haunted Mansion Holiday out here. Of course, that would be an even more appropriate Christmas attraction. In fact, we don't really have any holiday overlays of attractions anymore. Country Bear Christmas doesn't exist anymore, but it's still fun when you go to California, and it's still fun just to ride the regular Haunted Mansion. This time of year, every time I ride through the Haunted Mansion out here, I visualize and almost hear the music and the sounds and everything of Haunted Mansion Holiday as I ride through, even though it's never been out here. But maybe someday, but probably not. Here's an email that I think kind of ties into Christmas, the more commercial side of Christmas, but it is kind of an issue that I agree with completely. It's a lengthy email, but I want to include it here because it's one that I'm feeling a lot of people listening to the show or tuning into the show will agree with as well. The email comes in from Patrick, who is writing in about his experiences on a recent Walt Disney World trip, about merchandise and the lack of Walt Disney World exclusive merchandise and everything being labeled Disney parks. Patrick ended up writing to Disney about the issue, and he didn't really get much of a response other than what he called just kind of like a canned, almost automated response, sort of default template response. But I want to read a bit of what Patrick wrote to Disney in making his thoughts clear. Let's see. He started, in my last trip, which he said was in November, I saw a significant downgrade in merchandise. There were more repeats than ever in the stores. There was almost no merchandise for the 40th, and the very generic Disney parks replaced much of the Disney World merchandise. I can understand generic pins of characters saying Disney parks on them, but a 40th anniversary pin of Walt Disney World saying Disney parks on the card attached to it left me puzzled. I saw this in many merchandise examples. I had a budget of $1,800 to spend in the parks and merchandise, but I only ended up spending $790 due to the genericness and repeats in merchandise. One of the great things I love about Disney World is the shopping and the uniqueness of some pieces. Not so much this time. Also, I always used to buy dress shirts with a little Mickey on it, and when I went to Downtown Disney, I was told that those were discontinued. There also used to be at least 2 or 3 tie designs that would be new every time. They were the same ones I own already. There were not many Walt Disney World shirts either, more and more generic Mickey and Minnie and Goofy, but without Walt Disney World written on it. There was some of it. I got the turkey leg shirt and thought it was hilarious, and a Walt Disney World long sleeve with a hoodie shirt, but the designs were hard to find with characters for men in size large. Many of them only had double XL and small, so I ended up with something without characters, which is unheard of in my case. If I wanted generic Mickey, Goofy, Donald shirts, I would just go to the Disney store to buy them. When I'm at Walt Disney World, I really want to have Walt Disney World specific designs, and now I can understand that attraction specifics can be branded Disney parks as they are replicated around the world, and it's frankly cheaper to have the same merchandise sold around the world. I get that, but having a Cinderella Castle merchandise marked Disney parks, not so much. I might have to see my Disney spending habits go down significantly. The other thing is also when I go to Walt Disney World or Disneyland, I like to buy stuff that says so, not Disney parks. Very true, Patrick. I understand your sentiments completely. I've had the same issues in shopping for myself. I of course, am not going over there with an $1,800 budget all the time because I'm local. But in trying to buy shirts, for example, which I buy a lot of shirts. I have a closet full of T-shirts, and it is becoming increasingly difficult to find those specially branded shirts. When I go out to Disneyland, I want to buy a Disneyland shirt as well, but then when I see the one that either says Disney Parks or both Walt Disney World and Disneyland, number one, it's not special to my visit. Number two, I feel like, I can just get that at home. There's no point in me buying it out there. The new designs, like you mentioned, the turkey leg design or the TTA design, there's a new monorail design, and a few like that are great designs, and I'm glad to see Disney, merchandising really coming out with some more inventive, unique park ideas. But you're right about the character shirts and all of that. You just don't find them just saying Walt Disney World or Disneyland anymore. Same with the merchandise. A lot of the merchandise is co-branded for both parks or just Disney parks, so it doesn't make it feel quite as exclusive to where you visited anymore. And the sizes as well always leaves me puzzled. It seems like Disney would realize that large and extra large are by far the most commonly bought T-shirt sizes, and yet those are the sizes that always seem to be sold out, and they're left with racks of XXL, triple XL, and smalls, and they just sit there when everybody's trying to buy the other sizes. You would think they would produce many more of the XL and the large sizes and have lots of those and just a couple of the other sizes on the rack, but maybe it's just the way things fly off the shelves. I don't know. But anyway, it is definitely worth mentioning here. I agree that the merchandising is not what it used to be in terms of exclusivity around each of the parks. There is still a lot of great merchandise to be found, but you really have to hunt for it. And especially if you go up and down Main Street, you find a lot of the same merchandise over and over and over throughout all the stores. Same plushes, same T-shirts. There's no more sort of, you have to go here to get this merchandise. So I'm glad you wrote to Disney. It's disappointing that they only wrote back with sort of a template response, but hopefully that message got passed along to the right people, and if enough people make that clear, maybe we'll see better merchandise in the future. And with that said, that'll be it for listener feedback this week. And before we jump into one really fun big feature here at the end of the show to wrap everything up for quite a while, actually, it's a long feature here, I do want to put in a quick word about Lanyard Lab. This is an ad that I have not included in a few weeks here, but it is my own personal business. It's something that I work hard on, aside from Inside the Magic, every day, Monday through Friday, and even on the weekends and at night, and really all hours of the day. It's all over at lanyardlab.com, and basically it is a place where you can go to customize your own lanyards for promotional use, to wear at conventions, to wear around a school, a church, wherever it is that you want to wear something around your neck that adds some identity. You can go to lanyardlab.com, fill out the quote request form, submit all your colors, design details, text, logos, whatever it is, and then we'll put it all together in a price quote and send it on back to you, and you can buy it online, you can make any changes, whatever. It's all over at lanyardlab.com, so please do check it out. So now, as we move on here, a show that's a little bit out of order, listener feedback already done, news already done, I'm going to leave everybody here with a special Christmas bonus. And this is actually where the video version of Inside the Magic and the audio version of Inside the Magic are going to diverge. The video version is going to be ending very shortly, but in the audio version, I'm going to include about 25 minutes or so of a live binaural recording walking around Disney's Hollywood studios, particularly around the Osborne spectacle of dancing lights, for everybody to just enjoy some ambient entertainment and Christmas music from the parks. It's something that you'll be able to, wrap presents to, go shopping, play it in your car, just have it on in the background while you're enjoying this Christmas season. I'm sure everybody has a lot to do. For all of you watching the video version of the show, I'm not going to just include 25 minutes of audio with no video. What I'm going to do is right now, actually, let me get rid of this title at the bottom of the screen to make way for some links. So now that that's gone, right down here in the YouTube version of the video, I am going to put some links to where you can watch some videos that I'm working on uploading, that I will have uploaded by the time you're seeing this on YouTube. for a few of the songs from the Osborne Dancing Lights. So this is the end of the video version of the show. You can go ahead and click on those links that are down there now to enjoy those. And for those of you listening in the audio version, all you have to do is just keep on listening, because what you will enjoy now is some binaural audio from the Osborne Spectacle of Dancing Lights. Right before we get to that, let's go ahead.